So we are going to talk about the funeral rule. And this is something that went into effect back in 1984. And it was begun so that consumers would be protected. They would be able to get the same information from every funeral home, and there was some transparency to what funeral homes did, so that costs were there right out in front for everyone. So this prohibited funeral homes from misrepresenting and from putting fees on bills without permission and requiring the purchase of a casket for a direct cremation. So it put out all these things that were protecting the consumer from getting taken advantage of. It instilled that you could walk into any funeral home and request a general price list. You didn't have to give them any information. You could call a funeral home and get pricing over the phone. It just ensured you could get the information you wanted, and it would be factual on a piece of paper. It would have specific information on every general price list at every funeral home you went to. So the name of the funeral home, the address, certain prices like the basic service charge, the other preparation, the embalming, all of these specific things had to be laid out on every price list at every funeral home. So you could put them in front of you side by side and compare line item by line item. There were also several disclosures that needed to be on the price list or in the funeral law that needed to be on your contract or in the price list. So the consumers had right to select all the goods and services that they wanted. There was nothing going to be listed that they did not choose. Embalming, it's not required by law. Alternative containers for direct cremation, and the basic service fee. What is it, and is it declinable? There were a whole bunch of things, like I said, that needed to be itemized. The use of facility and staff reviewing, the memorial service, for a hearse, a limousine, all these things. So if you see a general price list and it has a limousine on there, it's not because they want to sell it to you, it's because the funeral rule dictates they have to have a price for that on there. There are also things that need to be on there, like forwarding of the remains, receiving of the remains, direct cremation, and immediate burial. These are partial services, I will say, that a funeral home may need to do for somebody, that they're minimized services, and it's kind of bundled. It's essentially a little package for all these services because your service fee is going to be reduced in those. Tell the legal requirements about embalming, the cash advances have to be listed out exactly what they are charged to the funeral home. They're listed for the family unless it's denoted that the funeral home has upcharged on one of those cash advance items. So you have that information in front of you to know whether you were charged, like for the obituary, what the paper charged, or if the funeral home was adding a fee to that. One of the most recent things added to the funeral rule was that a funeral home cannot charge a fee for using a third-party casket. So if you order your casket from Costco, the funeral home cannot charge a handling fee or a receiving fee for that. And that was a big one that was added into this funeral rule several years ago. So the funeral rule, it dictates a lot of what the funeral home does in terms of the general price list and the costs. And the funeral rule was created to protect you, the consumer, from getting taken advantage of. So you have all the information you need in front of you to make decisions.